Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Hello, this is Gary Wilson, your host for the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. Welcome aboard to this week's version. We got a great guest, two folks, in fact, Jill DeWit and Jack Butala, who I'll introduce in just a moment. But before I do, if you haven't already, and you're listening and you like this, please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. And you can find it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, any number of venues. And also, welcome back for all of our regular listeners. If you're already members, you know to go to the realestatewithgarywilson.com website, click on members area, and you know the routine. You go in there and you can grab all the resources you want. 300 some odd recordings, 7 books, 6 training programs, dozens of marketing campaigns and calculators and spreadsheets. And also, most important of all, is the map that shows you where all of our investor agents are. So if you ever struggled with real estate agents, struggle no more. Just go pick one off of the map because they're trained to work with us investors. They're certified investor agents, okay? Very unique. Not commercial, not residential. They satisfy that group of us in the middle there that have historically been underserved, but not anymore. And if you're not a member, by the way, click on the right, go in and get yourself a free look for 30 days and grab all you can while you're in there. Think of it as Christmas time, okay? So in any case, without further ado, Jill and Stephen, welcome aboard. Man, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know you're busy, I know you're successful, and I know it takes time to do this, and I certainly appreciate it. So welcome aboard.
Thanks, you. Gary. Happy to be here.
But hey, if you wouldn't mind, would you paint a picture for us? Who is Jill and Stephen? And don't be shy. Think of it as a meet and greet, and you're getting to meet new folks here for the first time.
Absolutely. Jill and I joined forces about 10 years ago, and quite simply, send a lot of blind offers out for rural vacant land, among other product types, real estate product types. And we buy it, and then we sell it for more.
Mm-hmm. That was good. Short and sweet.
Well, it looks like you started back in right before the end of the last century, 1999, and you're investors and built a $24 million land resale empire with more than 16,000 transactions. And then you co-founded Land Academy, which I think is pretty cool. So I guess you're able to teach and instruct people. That was in 2015. Sounds like you got some amazing tools, and to date you've done more than 1,000 podcast episodes, 500 hours of live webinars. I mean, that is pretty impressive. So if you wouldn't mind, let's just start with people who are interested in land. And this is ironic because I just got a property from one of our clients who wants to sell in Florida. So this could, I mean, literally yesterday it came up. But how, can you discuss how to actually purchase undervalued property and resell more quickly online?
Can I back up? I want to back up and say that. So we're so successful, and we're here today because of obviously our backgrounds, and and then when we merged, it just went bananas. So he came from real estate experience prior to figuring out this land thing. Will you explain a little more of your background?
Sure.
That's interesting to me too. Yeah, it's helpful to know.
In the early 90s, I have an accounting background, so I'd like, to directly answer your question, Gary. I like to think we have a data company that happens to sell real estate.
Right.
So I came from an accounting background, and we, in various roles in my career, bought and sold nursing homes and long-term care facilities and post-acute hospitals, which I think is probably the most complicated and convoluted and lengthy real estate transaction that you can go through. It would take a year to do a deal. So I was really frustrated with that, and tried to force the pendulum all the way back to do maybe what I think is probably the simplest type of transaction, which is getting a buyer and a seller together with a cocktail napkin and creating a purchase agreement and then buying a piece of land sight unseen. So
so you're in the thick of it. Here's what really happened. I'll give you the truth, Gary.
Okay.
He's in the thick of it.
My background is computer science. So Steve and I we're like blood brothers.
Yeah.
You know, we talk data. You know.
Well, that's it. You know what? I love it when you were describing who listens to the show. Your people are our people. Our people are very professional, very smart. We have PhDs and I mean, just everybody and a lot of accounting and technical backgrounds. They gravitate to us because of the data way that we do things. It's not a feel our way through it kind of a thing. So, but what really happens though, he's in this world, having an okay life, granted not the best, obviously, and these deals are killing him. And he decides to buy a property off eBay one day. He says, all right, what the heck is this? eBay's just getting started. Buys this property off eBay. It's too good to be true. It was like what?
It was 80 acres in Northeast Arizona.
For $8,000 or something?
I bought it for $8,000 and
wow.
Sitting at my coffee table and immediately redressed it up on the internet with maps and
better
pictures
photos
and sold it for twice as much 30 days later on eBay.
Wow.
And so I was hooked from that point forward.
Mm-hmm. So then it just kept growing and growing and growing and until where we are today. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was funny, I went back and listened to one of your shows from December. I thought it was so sweet. You had Mark Podolsky on here. And what's so funny is when I was listening to the beginning of the interview, Mark described, hey, I worked with this guy in investment banking who sat me down. This guy's talking about buying properties and selling for 3 times what he paid for them. This is the guy.
Yeah, Mark and I used to work together.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I like to say Mark's our first student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
it is awesome. I tell you, I love when that stuff happens. I mean, I've been on podcasts before, and I of course have my own, obviously, because you're on one now. But I was interviewed last month on a podcast. And within a week, I started getting phone calls. I normally would get a phone call here and there or an email or, hey, can I get your book? That kind of thing. I mean, 6 calls. I mean, people were so passionate. And he said, I heard what you said on Aaron's broadcast, and it really struck a chord with me, and this is going to reinvigorate me, and I'm going to start all over again. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I wish I could remember what I said. But the cool thing is I'm such a, I know people are they can't see this because it's a podcast, but this is my daily, well, you can't see it either, but I'm a huge planning nerd and I document everything. Thank goodness I kept track of everything, every single transaction. So I wrote about them and I paid an editor to help create like actual meaningful, relevant content, like educational content. Well, so now people can read that stuff and benefit from what you and I do. And it's interesting you said that because it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it sure does feel good, you know?
Yeah, it's so good.
That's why we do this.
Yeah. So fast forward, our lives were great. We were just being investors and doing and having a nice thing. He's the data guy. He hates talking on the phone, and I'm good at it, and I love it. So that's where I came in. I kind of filled that void here, and then we joined forces in more ways than one, and and it was going wonderful. And then 6 years ago, because we had so many people coming to us saying, all right, where's our buyers? We don't try to get greedy and sell retail. Our whole business model is buy it right, sell it fast, double your money at least, and just move on, and in a perfect world, the guy who's buying it for me, he's still getting a great buy. So he's thrilled. So I have buyers for life that are coming back. So that's what's happening. These buyers are like, okay, wait a minute. I'm buying it from you and I'm marking it up and I'm making money off of it. How the heck are you buying it so cheap? And so that's why we said, all right, everybody's asking, we're trying to help people, but it was kind of one at a time. So we came up with this crazy idea to like you, put something together. We called it Land Academy. And who knew it would be a hit? And everybody is killing it. And I tell you, Gary, the best thing I get is so many months I'm hearing stories from our members and I'm like, these people are making more money than me right now. And it's the best thing.
Cool. Well, one thing you mentioned early on, I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit more is the value of data and how you make your offers. I understand you do a lot of direct mail and you're like singing our song. We're the same way. We start with data, a lot of direct mail, but why is that when it comes to land, why is it the best and fastest way to reach the motivated sellers? Like if you tried other tactics, kind of fill me in there because it's interesting. You've come to that same kind of conclusion,
land is unwanted. You know, it's when you send mail out, we have a company called House Academy also. So we buy and sell a lot of houses. We never improve them. You know, it's not an HGTV kind of a thing. We just buy it inexpensively and mark it up $20, $30, $40, $50,000 and resell it. So, but land, you can just do it from your desk. You know, we never go see the property. You know, I'd like the data sets for land are, you know, it's finite. I like to think that it's finite. There's 155 million pieces of property in the entire country. And so if you can get your head around the fact that it's a finite data set, it's not infinite, and then drill down from there, right down to zip codes, and then assess that type of data, pit the zip codes against each other, you know, it tells you where to send mail and for how much, if you just listen to it.
I was going to add to about the question about other types. So many other ways to reach these sellers are not legal. And I'm not going to even mess with that. We all know the email thing and the mass texting thing. You know, that was a thing for a while back. People were testing it. And we never went that path. We were kind of waiting to watch and see what happened. And I'm like, glad we didn't, because we all know people that got their hands slapped for that. And I'm just not going to do it. And then the other thing is, it's what is great about our offers is when we send out direct mail, it's a 2-page professional. The first page explains who we are and our background, how we got the information, kind of calms everybody down. Like, who are you? Are you stalking me? No, it's all public information. And this is, by the way, you can get this for free off our sites. And have it and change it and own it, whatever, do it. And then the second page is a real professional purchase agreement with a place for them to sign and send it back. And so I need to get that out. I can't do that on text. I can't do that on the phone. And I'm not going to, and the thing about it too, this is the best way, the cheapest way for us. We can sit down with, he's amazing. He can spend in hours, Gary, and pick a county, pick an area, get the data, download it, price it, and have it off to our printer that we own in, you know, a Sunday afternoon, and blast, I don't know, 20,000 offers. There's no way I could have a team of how many? We can't do that many. Text, I'm not going to mess with it, but phone calls or any other way, and they're not going to be warmed up to our offers. They're getting a real price. And what it does is only the serious people are going to reach back out. Everybody else that's not interested, they throw it away. And I'm like, good. Yeah, you should. And that's fine. Yeah.
Wow.
You can't knock on 10,000 doors.
That's true too.
Yeah.
You know, or 20,000, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's very, very efficient. They choose you. We don't choose them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like the logic. And so really what you're doing is you're not really casting a wide net. I mean, you're basically casting a net, but it's more like it's a difference between net fishing and the fisherman who goes out on the boat, the charter boat, with the fish finder and the right rod and the right reel and the right bait. And you're only fishing for the fish that you want. You're not pulling up the tin can and the boot and the toilet lid and a crab and an occasional good fish. So,
You know, I use a fishing analogy often, and I would actually argue that I spearfish out in the ocean here. I would argue you get down in there and with the fish. Get in there and shoot them.
So you're actually going into like I forget what year it was. I think it was the Bush Jr. administration where they came out with the Freedom of Information Act. I think that's where it came out, which made a lot of data that they considered part of the public domain available to the public. So like property tax records and things like that through your tax assessor's database. But is that some of the stuff you're using and court records? And like sometimes I'm able to find those things, sometimes I can't. Every county is different, so you got to be a real technician. But how is that kind of what you're doing and how you're finding the people and the properties?
Yes, you are correct. There's a right way to get your hands on this data, and then there's the hard way to get your hands on this data. And the hard way is to go to the county because everyone's different. Some might give you a CD. Some aren't even computerized yet. You know, it's all over the place. So we use aggregators of this data. We are licensed providers of the top 3. So we use them all. And that's how we can do this in a couple hours too. So we use, and we provide this as a service too. RealQuest Pro, CoreLogic. We use Title Pro 24/7, which is Black Knight. Some people know Agent Pro 24/7. We use the more robust one because I'm doing it for my due diligence too. And then also we're providers of data trees.
First American.
It's First American Titles data tree source. We use all three of those. And so I can sit in, he can sit down in a minute and go, all right, how many 5 acres that are zoned this way? And I want to make sure no improvements, whatever it is, kind of thing, and stare at a list and go, all right, that's not enough. I'm going to do 5 to, I did 5 to 10. I'm going to add 5 to 20, whatever it is, and then sit and manipulate it till he's got just what he wants. Download it.
There's no dartboards in our office. There's no guesswork.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that.
I love when people come to me and they've said, I've been going to the county, I did this, because when you get this stuff back from the county, you need a PhD sometimes to decipher it. It's archaic some ways you get this back, and it may not have everything that you need. So these guys, we have 320 fields of data. I've got every little thing about any, from assessed, not that I use this, but I can see all the assessed values, all kinds of things about the property. I have it all at my
whether
fingertips.
it has any debt on it, whether what they paid for it and when.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I tell you what, I really like what you're doing. I think you're going to get a lot of positive feedback on this one because what you're doing, you're actually doing it the right way. We have a saying on a team. I have a national team of investor agents. It's like it's its own brokerage, but we're inside another company. And the saying is this: is the right education plus the right information plus the right actions equals right results. Yep. And there's no perfect solution out there, but what you're doing sounds like you're exactly following that logic or that model. And that's how you set yourself apart from the crowd, because most people are sending out 7,000 postcards or like you said, cold calling and door knocking, and that's just, we don't do that. I mean, it's a expensive use of time, energy, and money nowadays. Some places you can't door knock. You can be arrested. So, cold calling. Who likes to get a cold call?
No one.
Exactly. So in any case, this is far more intelligent, far more targeted, and it sounds like the way you're going about it, the direct mail piece you're sending is worded very specifically so that they understand who you are and how you know that data, and more importantly, you're speaking directly to them, as opposed to dear neighbor, dear friend, I'd like to buy your house, and they're like, well, we've never even seen my house. How do you know you want to buy my house?
Right.
If you could,
the thing about it too is, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to add, Gary, like when you send these, we call them like the postcards are like a neutral letter or something like that. Mm-hmm. You're going to get so many people calling you back that want to sell retail at their prices. That's not who we are, and that's not what we do. That's my main thing. So we have them all warmed up. They know who we are, what ballpark we're in price wise, and it's great if that sings to you. And a lot of people it does. They have no mortgage, there's no pay. It's paid cash. They're done. They inherited it. They thought they're going to build there, retire there, whatever it is. Things change, and they get an offer in their hand that they know we're going to cash out on Tuesday. It's like, okay. And it's the main thing is the price. I don't want to talk to everybody because that's not who I am. I really only want to talk to the people who are interested in my price. And if you're not, that's okay. I wish you all the best.
Yeah. Yep. You're
it's definitely hard not to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's hard not to pay attention to, I always have this vision of a couple's opening the mail in the morning over coffee and getting our offer. Yeah. And it's really hard not to pay attention to our offer for property it's not their house. It's a lot of times it's in a different state that they maybe inherited or whatever, and they get a $10,000 offer, and we know everything about the property. In most cases, we know more about the property than they do. True. And it's in that offer, so it's hard not to pay attention to that. It's hard to say no to $10,000 for something you're not using.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then what you're describing, you're saying that's people can get that off your website, so your customers and clients.
Yeah. If you want to, Yes, our direct mail company, it's called offers and the number 2
Mhm.
owners.com. So if you go on that website and go to the forms section, you
Mhm.
can download and have and use yourself and see there's a land one and then there's a house one because we do it for houses too. So
Okay.
knock yourselves out.
Well, I'm taking note. What's funny is I've done a lot of podcasts, and I'm like trying to write. I got my planner over here, and as you're speaking, I'm trying to write notes and then tell myself I need to just listen. I'll listen to it later and take notes then. But it's hard to not want to write this stuff down because it's so good. you know. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. A couple more questions, if you don't mind. When it comes to the type of land, like why is rural vacant land a great place to start investing? And I know you mentioned Northeast Arizona a while ago, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty rural and pretty vacant up there, you know. So beautiful country too, by the way.
So this concept works everywhere.
Okay.
There's 3,150 counties, I think, in the country, and it'll work for all product types. You know, the variable is the yield, the mailer yield. So if you send offers to buy an office building in Manhattan, New York, you're going to buy one. It's just all the variance on how many offers you need to send and whatever. So rural vacant land is cheap, to answer your question directly, and it's a great place to start. And Arizona's just happened to be a place that the eBay thing happened, but we buy properties, and our members, Land Academy members, buy properties all over the country. We have a lot of members that that live out of the country that actually do this. So it's it's cheaper. It's a great place to start.
It's a simple product. That's what's so great. But like you say, it works for everything. Like the thing about land is I can double my money. That's the usual thing. Unimproved vacant land, I can safely double my money. And then my buyer again is still feeling great because he bought it less than anything else out there. So with other property types, you're not going to double your money like a house. No. So we just back into it and we use the same data and analyze it the same way. We just price the offers differently, where maybe we're coming in at, 75% of what it's worth today in its current condition. And because we're going to sell it for 85% in its current condition, because I want my guy who buys it, he's going to feel great. Maybe he's a flipper himself. We sell a lot of stuff to flippers. So I'm like, you could do this yourself. I can show you how to get the data and send out your own offers and buy me. But it's like, no, this is great, Jill. I know you're making a little bit more on it. And you know what? I didn't have to do any of the work, and it's still cheaper than me trolling the MLS and every morning waking up trying to find something. They're like, love when they see our text. I'm like, here it comes. I just got this. Do you want it? And I'm only marking it up. We usually do those, we're doing a lot in up and coming areas, but they're not really expensive. I can, I'm buying something for $250,000. I'm marking it up $40,000 because it's worth, the 390 or whatever.
Those are good numbers.
Yeah. And then it's because it's worth for something in its current condition. And then when my guy, cleans it up and puts $50,000 in a new kitchen into it, now he's going to make $100,000 off of it. And I'm like, yay. And this is a beautiful thing. And then they come back and say, Jill, I need 10 more in that zip code. Can you hook me up? I'm like, okay, I'm on it.
Wow. Well, I guess a good question is then, so we talked about how you identify the properties, how you're making offers, and, it's makes it easier to get good deals when you do use data in education plus information. But on the back end, when you're looking to sell it, why is this type of commodity so easy to sell when you turn it over again? What is it about it? But it's interesting. I kind of have an idea, but it'd probably be good if you can shed a little light on that too, if you don't mind.
Here's why it's easy to sell, Gary. Would you buy the house next door if you knew it was going for $100,000 less than what it's worth right now, because they just don't care and they don't want to remodel the kitchen or clean out the garage, and it's COVID and they don't want people walking through there?
Yeah.
Pretty sure, yes. And people don't realize there's so many people out there, that the homes are long paid off. The kids went to college. They're like, we just want to be done. And especially with COVID times, they're like, we don't want to deal with all this stuff. And our offer comes along and they're like, yay, this is the greatest thing. And it's two parts. I've realized this through my journey in this career. It's not just numbers and what he does, which is phenomenal. I mean, he
You're in a good mood
sets
today.
me up. Oh,
You're
thank
full
you.
of compliments. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Because a
Well,
lot of
I
times
read
that's
it.
not how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this ding dong, just kidding. This ding dong's good at math. No, just kidding. No, but he is really good at picking these areas and just setting me up. So it's part of getting the right offers and the right hands to the right people that are well thought out.
Mhm.
And we're not dealing with banks. These people can make the decision. And then
Yeah.
the second special nuance is the relationship. You have to really be a good person when you answer the phone and really befriend these people. And I've had so many times people that said, you're not the only offer. I'm like, I'm not surprised. They're like, but Jill, you've done everything that you said you were going to do. You've taken all my calls. You have made this so easy for me. Everybody else has got me so confused. I don't even know what the title company's asking me today. Thank
Mhm.
God I have you, Jill, and you can talk me
Yeah.
through this. So it's two parts. And that's really what makes us great.
We've never had issues with sales ever.
Yeah.
There's only two
Yeah.
reasons that property doesn't sell very, very quickly. Number one, you paid too much for it, so you're asking too much.
Yeah.
Or number two, you're not reaching the right people. Well, that's easy because the people that are going to buy the property, wherever it is, whether it's rural or urban, live or have a property in that immediate area.
Normally.
So it's really easy we've never struggled with sales.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's think about the listeners who want to do this. How can someone quickly start and grow this type of investing business? I mean, it seems like it's pretty simple and straightforward, but some of these folks are used to buying rentals and flipping and stuff like that, and this is a little bit unique. So, what would you suggest for somebody who wants to get started on this and quickly and grow the business?
The best thing you can do is put your head down, forget everything that you think you know about this and pricing and everything. And I only know this because I've had many of our people say it was hard for me to overcome that little hurdle. But once I just said, all right, I'm going to trust this works and I'm going to send out this crazy offer, it's like they did everything that Steven taught them and did the data, and they pushed the button like, oh, are these people going to hate me? Is anything going to come back? And then they find out it works. They're like, oh, now I'm in. So yeah, you need to get educated. You need to spend a lot of time. You want to really, like everything, Gary, you have stuff too. You educate people. I don't want to be to rush into this. I want you to get to know the community. And there's lots of places that, like, we have our own online community that you could start talking to people now and just even asking crazy questions. It's landinvestors.com. If anybody wants to join, it's free. So do that.
Okay.
And then the best thing is learning how the front end, the biggest part of our business is buying it, learning data, being good with manipulating data. You need to know Excel. You can't be afraid of Excel and spreadsheets and all of that.
Yep.
And that's it, because everything else really falls into place. And we've even taken the money part out of it. Over the last couple of years, that was a big hang up for people. Like, I don't even have $5,000 to buy a property, Jill. I just found the greatest deal on the planet. It's worth 30, but I don't have 5. Well, you know what? We solved that. We do deal funding for a lot of people. And you don't even have to be in our world, in our community, because we firmly believe, as you do too, Gary, no good deal should go to waste. I don't care who you are. You bring this to me, we're gonna fund it. We're gonna find a way to get this done. So we now, for everybody, if you can just find the deals, queue them up. I'm your bank. I'll be your bank. And then I want you to do the work. It's my first choice, but I'll help you and show you how to sell it, where to sell it, and everything. And then when it's all done, we split the profit and everybody wins. And you put in no money.
I mean, and then the flip side is true too. Let's say you have a bunch of money, but you don't have any interest in then you can become part of our group as a money person. So that's the reason we started Land Academy. People always ask us, okay, so if this is so great, why are you giving away all the secrets? And the answer is this: because we created partners for ourselves.
Yep.
Both money partners. Believe it or not, we take down deals that are too much for us.
Yeah, I go to get money sometimes.
So we bring on money partners.
Yeah.
It's only people in our group. But I like to say to people who are brand new, you only have one job. Is just to find great real estate deals. And if you understand data and understand Excel, and it's kind of a second nature situation, you're going to do great. Forget about the money. If you find a property for $5,000 that's worth 30, you're going to do just fine. In fact, we're going to ask you to do it over and over again.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, what are some of the traits of you're used the term partner a couple of times there? It sounds like that's really one of the benefits to you is because you're the visionary behind this, is you get to find some pretty awesome people out there, dentists and engineers and pilots, and they're busy. They run businesses and they travel all over. And what would you say are some of the key character traits of your most successful partners?
They understand data.
Yep.
That's it. That does all the heavy lifting.
No, here's the truth. This is not for everybody. It's very technical. If you are a technical person, the vast majority of the people that, and I'm just being very honest here, the vast majority of the people that succeed in this environment have already owned a business. Maybe they own an existing set of businesses now, and they add this to it, and immediately they do incredibly well. Mm-hmm. They just see the value. Somebody might be listening to your show and hear this, and it's just going to click. Yeah, and then you're going to do great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're definitely you're singing the right song to the right crowd. So
oh, good, thank you.
pretty much. I mean, teachers, engineers, military, actually, firemen, policemen. It's funny, you wouldn't think of a fireman, policeman as being technical, but they are. Often they have degrees, and they've got to be extremely technical, and they also have to be decisive, which is, I think, another good key character trait is people to be successful. Again, education plus information, but taking action requires you to be decisive. You can't hesitate. I mean, if something checks out, you do your checklist, just like a pilot. When they go through the checklist on a plane, the first thing they do before they ever fly the plane, they go fly the plane on a schedule. And in the air, if something happens, they're not sitting there thinking, looking at the checklist and, well, it seems like everything's going, maybe we'll just wait till we land. No, they've got to make a decision right there on the spot, So in any case, I tell you what. All right. Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be another character trait of a lot of our entrepreneurs. We love our freedom. And when you're up there in the air, I mean, I don't know the plane now, but I know in the past, I would often look for the first flight of the day, because there's no better feeling when you're taking off down that runway and you're first and there's nothing ahead of you, just you in the clear blue sky. It's an amazing feeling, So
exactly. That's so good. Well, one of the things too I love about our business when I was first, learning this, and Stephen was kind of explaining to me, his whole point was it's something we can do from the back of a boat, which is great. And that's I think what sings a lot of people too. It doesn't even, there's a lot of people that are doing their 9 to 5 right now. Granted, it's at home, but they're still doing their day job, and they could start doing this on the weekends and the evenings. You could spend one weekend, just every weekend. And, this weekend I'm going to figure out how to pick a county. Next weekend, I'm going to get the data. And the next weekend, I'm going to price it and get it in the mail. And then the next weekend, now here come the offers. I'm going to do that. So you could just go, if that's what it takes, you can do it like that.
There's a ton of flexibility. We have people we have people in our group that, for whatever reason, they only want to do one deal a month. And maybe they have a full-time job and a bunch of kids or whatever. But one guy in particular said he just does one deal a month, and he makes $100,000 on that deal, makes $1 million a year. That's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to work hard. And he said he works 4 or 5 hours a week.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
I can't do that. I have to do 100 deals a minute. Both of us do.
Exactly. It's an illness.
I know. I've got to stay busy too. I haven't owned a television in 6 years, So
that's great.
I just read, study. I like to go outdoors. Well, I tell you what, guys, this is, I think we're about out of time, but this has probably been one of my favorite podcasts, hands down. And
thank you.
When you packed in a lot of good stuff too. So I just want to remind people, I wrote down offerstoowners.com. I've got landinvestors.com, landacademy.com. And it may have even been one or two more you mentioned too. I was trying to write feverishly to keep up. But for everybody listening, guys, I mean, take Jill and Stephen up on their offer here. Contact them. Go to the websites. Get the offer. My gosh, they're part of your game plan right there. Take advantage of the data sourcing they have. Anything else? Any other suggestions you have, or words of wisdom, or how people can communicate with you, or
Yeah, go get our free ebook on right at landacademy.com at the top. That's really the best place. The free ebook tells the whole story and really sets the picture and talks about, the whole transaction and really what we do. And after you read that ebook, if it clicks, you're in the right crowd.
Okay.
You'll know right away. So some people are like, oh, I don't know. I had one guy I'll never forget. He's like, but Jill, he was trying to decide he wanted to be HGTV, right? And doing houses. And he's literally told me land is not sexy. And it was so funny.
It's not.
He's not. But he came back a year later and said, I am so done with that. He's like, oh yeah, it's funny. He's been in our group now for a couple of years. He's like, okay, I get it. I used to say, yeah, it may not be sexy, but a nice bank balance is sexy. He's like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, after a lifetime of dealing with, I've owned hundreds of properties and thousands of tenants and, refrigerators and stoves and plumbing and electrical. And the thing about land is you have none of that.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's land. Land can't call you up at 2:00 in the morning. Land can't threaten you. Land can't do any of those things.
Exactly.
So
I like to say if it burns down, it's probably more valuable.
Yeah. I cleaned all the brush off.
There you go. That's right. Okay, tell you what, this has been a lot of fun. I think I'm going to have you guys back also. And if you have your own podcast, I'd love to come and be a guest on yours if you want to do that. Either way is okay. So far, this has been an unbelievable, valuable exercise. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say thank you for doing this. So I appreciate it, guys. And everybody listening, take care of yourselves. God bless you and your families. Also, remember to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com. Homepage, you can grab any one of, I think, 5 or 6 books for free, but also check out the members area. Go check out the investor agents. They're ready. They're waiting for you. If you want to invest, my gosh, that's what they're trained for. Now I'm going to see if I get them trained through the Land Academy here too, on top of that. So I'll see you on the next podcast. Have yourself an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.